guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm just going to do a fun little kind of different thing than I normally do today. I think I mentioned in my last live stream I did with David from Garage Geek and Paul from Geeks Love Dogs that had been my birthday recently, and my wife had got me some cool presents, one of which was this almost 50-year-old $6 Million Man comic. This is from August 1976, and it was originally 30 cents. It's a Charlton Comics, which David, who's much more up on comic lore than I am and comic information, says was a line of comics that a lot of talented artists went to at the end of their career. Maybe that it wasn't one of the higher budget lines like a DC or a Marvel, but had a lot of licensed titles similar to Dell, but had a reputation for some pretty decent interior art, at least from David's point of view, and I have to agree this one's pretty good. So now this is not something I asked for. I don't really collect comics. I've gotten more curious about comics recently from seeing several other booktubers and comic booktubers talk about different titles that look really cool. And my wife got this for me just kind of for, I guess, a laugh or for fun. She thought it might be something I'd like, but it wasn't cheap. She paid over 4,000 yen for this on Yahoo Auctions Japan, and I was at first rather aghast when I found that out, thinking it was a couple dollar comic or something. But I checked on eBay, and there's a copy of this one going, perhaps in slightly better condition, I don't know, but for around $26.95 or so. So that's right about what she paid for it. So it must be moderately rare. Anyway, I just thought, I just read this and it was pretty fun, so I thought I'd just take a quick little look at it, especially since I don't have many other comics. I'm just going to do a quick run through of this. If anyone out there is my age, in their 50s, they probably remember the Bionic Man, Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man, and of course its sister series, The Bionic Woman. And those were a lot of fun, 70s, what passed for, I guess, kind of superhero or superhero adjacent TV series back in the day. And I have 3 seasons, I believe, of the $6 Million Man on DVD. I don't own the whole thing, but I hadn't seen it for years. It's silly, it's dated in some places, but it's a lot of fun, you know that? And I like Lee Majors. He's pretty cool. And of course, ever since I was a preteen, I was, infatuated with Lindsay Wagner as Jamie Summers, the Bionic Woman. She's just something so down to earth and lovely about her, both physically and in her sunny personality. So she's not in this one, of course. It's just $6 Million Man, and it somewhat captures the feeling of the series a little bit, not too badly, and it's pretty fun. So let's take a quick little look inside this thing, and there's also some cool, nostalgic little ads and things inside here as well. So we'll move over to the table and take a look inside. Okay, let's take a look in this sucker then. So as you see, the Charlton Comics logo at the top and a little representation of the $6 Million Man himself, Steve Austin. Now, I don't know who did this cover. There's a signature down here at the bottom, but I'm not up on comic book cover artists, and it doesn't seem to give a credit inside. Slight rip on the cover here. I'm going to treat this with kid gloves because it's a little older, beat up and coming apart a little bit on the cover. So we have some dog tags advertisement here, and then we have the title of this issue, The FG. Now, the story of this one is a bit goofy, but fun. So this looks like, the setup of how Steve Austin becomes a $6 Million Man. He survived. He was an astronaut doing some kind of test flight. His spacecraft or jet or whatever crashes to Earth, and he gets seriously injured and is on death's door, and they do this new cybernetic kind of program, secret program through the government to make spending $6 million at the time, which in the 70s was a lot of money, I guess, to repair him and give him bionic parts, including his right arms, his eye. He had eye damage, and both of his legs that had been crushed in the crash. And he gets these new parts, and he becomes super strong. And in return, he's asked to do some missions for the U.S. government, the OSI, run by Oscar Goldman. So this at first, the first panel looks like he, it's flashing back to when he was first operated upon. But actually what's happening here, we find out, is that this is an enemy agent named Land, CP Land, and he's having this Dr. Dreyfus, do a doll-like replica, right, of Steve Austin. And then, of course, do you want your payment in gold, silver, or lead? And Dreyfus is killed by the treacherous Land, who apparently, for whatever reason, wanted a miniature duplicate made, including even its own atomic power system, which Austin also has inside him and his body post-surgery. And I guess selling it to a foreign power for buku bucks, and that they could, I suppose, use the same setup to do on a real human, I suppose, to make a counter agent. At any rate, this is where the story gets really weird. Somehow there's the doll and Steve, the actual $6 Million Man, has some kind of, they have some kind of, I don't know if psychic's the right word to use, some kind of connection, bionic connection. Perhaps it's the atomic power pack that Steve, through his bionic eye, can see the murder happen. He can see what happens. It takes the form of a mirage, and he almost crashes Oscar's new car, and Oscar's not happy about it. Oscar Goldman being the boss of OSI and Steve's friend, as well as boss, and for spy missions. And he's complaining to Steve that, hey, you toasted my car, Steve. I told you to be careful. It's new. And Steve says, no worry. He uses his bionic arms to fix it, fix the rather unlikely fix it up like new. And then they go back to OSI to have Rudy Wells, the chief physician and scientist working on Steve, who worked on Steve, to take a look at what's going on. And in the meantime, Land is coming up with some way to hide out from the police after killing the doctor, and he has to get rid of the evidence. So he gives this little girl with her dog in the cart, her toy dog, and she has another dog with her, puts the doll there, and he's going to come back and get it from her. But of course she says, mommy said this is so beautiful, but mommy says I can't have any anything from strangers. So she leaves it on the trash can in the alley. A dog comes and shakes it around, and of course that has the effect of making Steve fly through the air like a rag doll being shook. So he has this unbelievable kind of connection to the actual doll, expensive doll. And then he winds up in the hospital. The Land comes back and harasses the girl. Where's my doll? She says, I left it there. And then Big Dad's coming up saying, that's my daughter. Is this your daughter? She's such a sweet young thing. And Land scampers off. And basically Steve recognizes the Dr. Dreyfus, the dead man, and says, I'm getting out of bed with you. This is one of the few moments that seems like the TV series a little bit, where Oscar's saying, you got to stay in there. Oh, what the hell? Why do I even try to argue with you? You're going to do what you're going to do. And they go back to search Dreyfus's office. And meanwhile, Land goes to this place that manufactured the doll, some of the doll parts for the doctor before he was murdered by Land. And Land meets this beautiful young owner who says, I'll make you a copy. That he wants a copy so he can sell back the unbionic copy to the U.S. government for lots of money, and then also sell the real one to his own government. And here we got a list of the typical ads that you would see in the day in a comic like this. Monster-sized skeleton. All these things that were disappointing when you actually ordered them, if you ever did. They were never quite living up to what you might have expected them to be. And then Land makes the call to Oscar Goldman and says, hey, I'm going to pay you. I want payoff for this thing. Meanwhile, Steve and Oscar go to this toy factory they know is the front. They know who Land is now, and they're trying to pretend they don't know. And Steve's got to break in to try to rescue this doll. But he has to be careful, because if Land has this doll, he can, like with the dog, he can do something to it and end Steve's bionic life. So here, do you want to grow your own peanut plantation? Do you guys remember this? I don't remember this kind of ad. Anyway, Steve gets into the plant, and this is where things get really fun. The story kind of kicks up a notch, and we get some good bionic action as he vaults over the fence and climbs up, and then he's first mistaken as one of the men loading the helping unload the truck with toys, which are the toy factories acting as a cover for Land's nefarious, kind of spy deals. And then Land recognizes him and says, "Hey, Austin," and then starts shooting at him. Austin goes running up, and then he's pinned by a forklift, and he uses his bionic arm to smash his way through the forklift and get clear. And then a whole bunch of other dudes are like, "Okay, buddy boy, boss says you're a guy to be stopped. We're going to try to take you down." Now we have some more ads right in the middle there, including this interesting hit collector's kit, Elvis the King. Only $3.98 plus 50-cent postage. Posters, banners, oodles and bundles of goodies. Also some Beatles memorabilia, apparently. Anyway, here we getting back to the cool comic here, we get some fun fight scene as these big burly guys attack Austin, one wielding a chain, others wielding crowbars, and Austin makes short work of them. They try to wrap him up in the chain, and in the last burst of strength, he tosses him aside. And then all of a sudden, someone tries to drop molten lead on him. I'm guessing it's Land, because that's pretty fatal. And Steve breaks free and escapes just in time. That's a pretty cool little panel there. And again, we're not talking top-of-the-line comic stuff, but, fun. And then the men are like, "Ooh, hey, buddy, we're not going to mess with you. You go on." And then all of a sudden, Land starts shooting down there and even wounds some of his own men. And says, "Come on, Austin, I got this doll, and I'm going to toast you. I've loosened the boards here, and you better watch out." Austin's hanging here. And he said, "Damn it, nothing's working. What's going on?" And he comes in and smashes the head of the other doll that he had in his office. That didn't work either. So, okay, well, I'll get you some lead with some good old-fashioned lead. But Steve gets up there moving with lightning speed with his bionic legs and delivers the knockout punch. And it's with his right hand, too. So if he wasn't careful, he'd probably smash this dude's skull in. So with his bionic hand. But I guess he modulates it so it just knocks him cold. And then he said, "What happened? Why didn't that second doll, the one that was supposed to be the real bionic doll that I'm linked to, why didn't it hurt me?" And then the beautiful redhead doll maker turns out to be the murdered scientist, Dr. Dreyfus's daughter. And for revenge, she took out all the components that would endanger Steve from the actual doll. And of course, Steve puts the Mac on the beautiful redhead, right? She said, I got to know you from your photos and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Well, you should get to know the real me." Wonka, bonka, bonk, a little sexy time coming later, maybe, who knows? But this is a kid's comic, so probably it's very lightly implied, if anything. And then, of course, good old Steve Austin saying, "You want a real version of me, a real miniature $6 million man? Go to the store and buy some of this shit." I had a $6 million man toy myself, and I remember having fun with it. This is the day of G.I. Joe and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. So that was a kind of cool little comic. And then they end up with some more Muscle Man stuff and other things. Other kind of, what's this? Make excellent extra cash. Some kind of get-rich-quick scheme that I'm sure was only getting the people making the scam rich. Then we have an interesting little story about a high school reunion for the $6 million man, for Steve Austin. And here he is asking Oscar to go take a little vacation after his strenuous activity of the previous story. And that's a fun enough little story. I guess, according to David at Garage Geek, he said that he was informed that Charlton did this sometimes to be able to say it's a magazine, not just a comic. I'm sure he's right. I don't know anything about that, but it's interesting to see a little text story. I know some comics did that. Here we have some more interesting ads: crash diet, make muscles fast, etc. Some kind of watch ad. And then at the end, this is the one I remember really clearly sending away for as a kid and being very annoyed, thinking because I would love the little actual 3D kind of army men, and I had a lot of them and played with them constantly. And when I sent away for this, when it came, I think I sent away for, maybe it was a Civil War set or something, I forgot exactly. But they all came and they were little flat, no, not 3D at all, little flat 2D kind of figures, very cheap, and I was disappointed. Of course, I was young and didn't know any better. Getting a little Foot Locker of these soldiers, I should have known for that money it was too good to be true. Now, I didn't ever use or order from an ad a Daisy a BB gun rifle, but I had one. My dad got me one when I was young, and I used that sucker a long time. It was a lot of fun. And still, I think Daisy makes them, and they're still a lot of fun. Just be careful not to shoot your eye out, kid. Anyone catch that Christmas Story reference? Now on the back, amazing $1 offer, 2 super great iron-on transfers. Anyway, fun issue. That was very sweet of my wife to get this for me, and you know, she paid a little money for it, and I'm going to keep it in its bag now that I've read it. And you know, that was a lot of fun. I might get back into collecting a few comics, or at least graphic novels from here on out, because I'm enjoying what I'm watching of David at Garage Geek, and Donald Rex on his channel, and Sleepy Reader on his channel, and Larry's Library, all these cool new to me booktubers who are also comics collectors. So, and I know people like Steve Donahue and Michael K. Vaughan and others are big into comics as well. So not probably this kind of comic, but you know, some of these little small, lesser known ones are kind of fun. And I have some nostalgia for the $6 Million Man. Kids in my school always did the cha-cha-cha-cha slow motion running thing that was so common on that show. And the show is still fun, and this comic is still fun. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.
It's the $6 Million Man and Bigfoot the Bionic Beast.
Drag Race Dynamite. New from Kenner, the TTP dual-launch drag set. With a $6 Million Man and his Bionic Mission Cycle against Bionic Bigfoot Jet-Style Ice Cycle. One start trigger turns them loose.
Come on, Steve.
It's Bionic Bigfoot against the $6 Million Man.
Come on, Bigfoot. Let's do it again.
TTP dual-launch drag set. Some assembly required.